Hello everyone, and welcome to the second meditation in our series on how to read the Bible from an evolutionary perspective. In this particular meditation, we're going to be focusing on what it means to view the Bible as a library of books rather than just a single book. As we begin, I invite you to get comfortable, slow your mind, deepen your breathing. And be still and allow your thoughts to focus on your breath and on this present moment. And now as we begin to focus our minds and hearts into this meditation, I offer you this question. What is your favorite genre of writing to read? And why? Just sit with that for a moment. And now let's pray. Speak the words out loud with me, or stay silent and hold them in your mind, or you can just sit in silence and skip over the prayer altogether, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Divine Creator, we are so grateful that you reveal yourself in so many different ways and that you teach us through so many different media, experiences, and sources of wisdom. We open our hearts and minds to enjoy and be transformed by the variety of genres, styles, and stories that come to us through ancient sacred texts. Amen. Now as we move into a more focused meditation, begin by thinking about your favorite verse or stories or passages from the Bible. Even if you don't find reading the Bible helpful, there's so much of the Bible in Western culture that you almost certainly have some connection with some of the Bible's content. Perhaps there's something there that speaks to you. Now think a bit more deeply about these favorite parts of the Bible. What makes these verses or passages so significant for you? What is it about these sections that make them resonate with you? What impact have these passages or verses had on your life, and how do they continue to influence you? And now consider the parts of the Bible that you find the most difficult. Which sections do you really struggle with? And what makes them problematic for you? What thoughts, emotions, and physical feelings arise in you when you try to engage with these difficult parts of the Bible? Now spend some time considering the narrative arc of the Bible. Think about how the Hebrew scriptures move from creation to humans populating the world, to the call of Abraham and his family, to the captivity of the Israelites in Egypt, to the liberation and establishment of Israel as a people, to the kings and the varied fortunes of the people under different leaders, to the conquest of Israel by Assyria and Babylon, to the exile of the people taken off into captivity, and then their return. And then turn your thoughts to the Gospels and the story of Christ's birth and life and death and resurrection. And then move to the book of Acts and the spread of the church. And now consider all the letters and how they reflect the struggles, conflicts, and growth of Christ's followers, individually and as communities. And finally, think about the difficult and metaphorical book of Revelation and the strange visions it contains. What meaning, if any, does this narrative hold for you? What parts of this biblical story resonate with your own experience of life and being human? What parts feel completely foreign and strange to you? What insights can you glean from viewing the Bible as a whole in this way? And now focus your reflections on what it means that the Bible is a library of books. Hold in your mind the 66 books of the Bible, 39 in the Hebrew Scriptures and 27 in the Christian Scriptures. As you do, remember that there are also 7 apocryphal books that are recognized by the Roman Catholic Church, but not by most Protestant denominations. Think about all the different writers who produced these books and their different historical periods and life circumstances. Consider the editors and compilers who brought these books together and the different periods in history when they did their work. And finally, consider the different genres in the Bible. How many genres can you list? This isn't a test. It's just an exercise for you to consider the parts of the Bible that are most relevant to you. And now reflect on how these different genres all speak to your life's journey in different ways. What difference does it make to your experience of the Bible to consider these different genres and the different ways they can teach us and guide us? When you picture the Bible as a library in this way, does it feel any different than when you think of it as a single book? If so, in what way? If not, why do you think that is? And now finally, consider which books in this library hold the most meaning for you, if any. Is there anything you would like to do to glean more meaning and wisdom out of the books you find helpful? And out of the ones with which you struggle? And now take a moment to reflect on any insights, emotions, or physical feelings that may have arisen in you during this meditation. Is there anything that invites further investigation for you? And now I invite you to work with another passage from the Bible, like we did last week, in response to this meditation. We're going to begin by reading the passage we referred to in this week's podcast, Hebrews chapter 1, from verse 1 to the beginning of chapter 2. I'll read it twice, with a short break between the two readings. The first time I'll use the New Living Translation, and the second time I'll use a version called The Voice. Long ago, God spoke many times and in many ways to our ancestors through the prophets. And now in these final days, He has spoken to us through His Son. Long ago, at different times and in various ways, God's voice came to our ancestors through the Hebrew prophets. But in these last days, it has come to us through His Son. Now spend some time in silence and think about any words or ideas that may have stood out for you. Also be aware of any feelings, thoughts, questions, resistances, or insights that may have arisen as I was reading that passage. Spend a few minutes sitting with whatever has emerged for you. And now finally, I suggest that you take a moment to journal whatever has emerged for you in this practice and consider how you might carry these reflections with you through the week. And now as we draw this practice to a close, I encourage you to continue working with the Bible as a library through this week. One good way to do that is to practice imaginative, contemplative reading, and for this week I suggest using the poetry of Proverbs 8 from verse 22 to verse 31. As you read, use all your senses and your imagination to enter this poem. Don't read critically or academically. Don't try to find some lesson or truth to apply. Just enter into the text and try to experience it. Imagine yourself in the scene in some way. Think about what you see and hear, smell, feel, maybe even taste in the scene. Imagine the thoughts, emotions, and physical responses you would have as you live in this scene. Be as detailed and creative as you can be, and let your imagination open up the poem and bring it to life. When you feel you've done enough, take a few moments to journal your response to this reading. Then return to the passage each day, but approach it from a different perspective. And allow this practice of imaginative reading to be part of your daily spiritual practice through the week. And so now I invite you to go into the rest of your week with a deeper sense of being part of the ancient and universal human quest for sacredness. Thank you for sharing in this practice, and stay connected to the sacred.